So I want to kickstart a discussion with Bill and Ilana from AllClear Labs, because I believe that they can walk you through some really affordable labs that can get to the heart of the bulk of the people with digestive distress orders. That like, hey, Ilana, I'm just going to make sure everybody understands exactly how I came upon you guys, how I found you guys. So I was sharing that the first time I heard of AllClear was during the COVID wave, and how they were actually making really accurate tests affordable so much easier. That wasn't as relevant. I mean, it was relevant to the world, definitely, but it was not as relevant to my community, because the vast majority of the practitioners that I help are functional medicine practitioners, precision doctors, people in the holistic space, and they're mostly all dealing with chronic conditions, and so that wasn't something that I needed to deal with until, of course, long COVID came about. That's a whole nother story. We won't go down that rabbit hole. But then sort of fast forward to the next time that I heard about this brand, I was literally flabbergasted, like totally shocked by how accurate and affordable you guys had made the testing for. Two things in particular really caught my eye. It was the SIBO and the lactose intolerance, and the way you could look even to like the sucrose. There's tons of things. I'm going to have her get into the technical stuff of this, you guys. But here's what blew my mind, and here's what had me reach out and say, we need to connect. You guys need to talk to my people need to talk to your people, right? We needed to bridge the gap and put Ilana and even Bill, the founder, in front of you guys so we could have a discussion about this, because I feel like there's too many of us that are defaulting to the $400, $500, $600 like comprehensive stool test, and we're jumping straight there before we're looking at the things that could hit 95, 96% of people who are having some form of digestive distress, whether it's, they're bloating a lot, they have vacillating diarrhea, constipation, whatever. And when I found out the price structure of this testing, I was like, wait a minute. For $200 or sub $200, just barely, you can get the information that actually could weed out and be the filter that prevents people from needing to do those more sort of messy, let's face it, the stool culture, all of that, like messy, more time consuming. It's slow, right? We have to wait a long time to get the results back. I was like, wait, if we could have a first line of defense test that was like not in that $500-$600 range, how many more people could we help, right? How many people, if we put out symptoms-based content like, hey, is this going on for you? Are you feeling like this? Is this bothering you? What if we took a simple peek at something very straightforward that few people realize could be the bulk, the vast majority of unidentified either SIBO or lactose intolerance? And if we knew that, and we identified one of those, well, that could save us from going down a really long journey of really crazy elimination diets and lots of expensive stool tests and lots of that. So that's the backstory. Okay, so when I found about that, I was like, whoa, mind blown. Okay, everybody needs to know about this. Everybody needs to make sure that they're not offering a really affordable access to functional medicine, because God knows everybody's being so much more cautious about money right now. No matter where you sit politically, financial times are a little crazy, right? And so many people are buckling up, and we don't want their health problems to compound. So when I found out about that, I reached out to AllClear. Bill, who you guys will meet at the Labs to Lead Summit in January, he was so kind, so generous, and he offered to connect Ilana and I today and just let her, you guys can ask her, like, let's get some questions on the table for her about when is the best application. So while she is talking through the test, I would really love to focus on those two, Ilana, but you could go crazy and tell us about more. But while she's just giving us the core lowdown about this, you guys throw your questions in chat, and then we'll circle back and we'll get all of them answered, so you can see if you can start positioning these tests at these price points at the very top of your marketing. Remember, this test that we're going to talk about, it is available through Avexia. It's available through Rupa. It's available through many, many of your lab wholesalers that allow you to offer the test through a signing physician, which means it's not on your license, which means you can use it for prospects. You can use it for marketing. And then imagine how much easier it's going to be for you to convert those prospects when they see the test results. If something's there, you guys, there's no more hard selling. There's no more convincing, right? They're like, what? Holy cow. This person gave me access to the test. Yay. I already like them more than the average bear. Okay. And then they helped me see the test results. On a call where you're talking about those results, it's going to be infinitely easier for you to enroll them in implementing protocols to resolve the problems that you find. Okay. And spoiler alert, this brand also helps you with those protocols so you don't have to go it alone. Okay. So put your questions in the chat, whatever you have as they come up, and I promise you we will circle back and get them answered. Okay. And with that, Ilana, do you want to introduce yourself with everybody? Let them know kind of how you came into the AllClear world, and then let's talk us through those 2 tests.
So my name is Dr. Ilana Gurevich. I'm a naturopathic physician, and I'm a fellow of the American Board of Naturopathic Gastroenterology. And for about 17 years, I've been running a highly specialized gastro-focused practice. And I've been in the SIBO world since 2013 when it was first introduced via Allison C. Becker and then Mark Pinmantel. So I've been running tens of thousands of SIBO tests. I met with Bill through AllClear, and what I loved about the company was his technology. He is utilizing Quintron machines, and right now we're in an interesting space in the SIBO world because for decades your option was the Quintron machine, and then recently we've got a bunch of new technology that's very new and in my experience not as well validated as a Quintron machine. And so that's one of the things that AllClear does amazingly is they're using the technology that's been validated for years, and also their price point is better than anybody else on the market, and their turnaround time is better than anybody else on the market. And so let's just talk about when a SIBO test is useful for clinicians dealing with gastro practices. So a patient walks in, and when I'm taking an intake and when I'm training my residents to take an intake, what we're listening to is, where is the problem? Is the problem upper GI? Is it reflux? Is it bloating? Is it pain? Is it distension? Is it that typical IBS-like picture? If it is, you want to start in the small intestine. You want to start working up the small intestine. A couple of parameters is, it's important for people to know that your small intestine has more in common microbiome-wise to the small intestine of a mouse than it has to your own large intestine. So a stool panel, while absolutely useful and really helpful for lower bowel disorders, are not telling you anything about the small intestine. The way that we look at the small intestine is through a breath test. What a breath test does is it puts you on like a little bit of a 1 to 2 day detox diet, right? You're basically avoiding fiber at all costs, very restricted, very boring diet. You can do anything for 1 to 2 days. And then after that, you wake up and you hang out for a little bit. Then you drink lactulose, which is basically going to feed that bacteria. And then you collect your breath over the course of 3 hours. So you're following that provocation down the small intestine. As you're following that, what we're looking for a spike in either bacteria, which makes hydrogen, or methane, which is made by methanogens, basically. And depending on the degree of that spike and depending on the severity and how long it stays spiked, that's how we diagnose bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine.
That's amazing. And okay, so if they don't you guys might already be aware of that Quinton technology, but I think that piece is fascinating. So if there's any way, I know I don't want you to go into the whole, I don't want you to get too nerdy that we lose everybody, but can you just speak to the difference at having access? By the way, I don't know exactly what your lab wholesaler is costing for this test, but all of the ones that I have access to, this is a sub $200 test, like 190 I see it at. I've seen it at 175, 180, I think. So it's like we're sub 200, you guys. We're not talking about a $500, $600, $700 test that we have to wait 14, 21 days to get back. Okay. How quick is you guys turnaround now?
I think Bill said 48 hours.
48 hours, right? So it's like, we're not even talking about 3 days, you guys. So imagine that. It's like, first of all, from a marketing and sales perspective for your business, right out of the gate, we know that if they drop in, if they're the type of person who identifies themselves as like, yeah, I'm not taking this anymore. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And they want to get this test. How cool is it that you can open the test for them in a little video yourself, show them how to take the test, talk about all the wonderful science behind this, talk about what's happening. what that is doing is endearing those people to you. And they're having them see, whoa, mind blown. I don't know any of this stuff. This person sounds brilliant, right? So they have that. Then you can bring them back into the a little mini member portal. It's super not complicated for you to build, right? We've already built it for you if you want it. Okay. And so there's the video of you explaining them what's going on, why they're doing this, a brief description, just like she just gave you. Hey guys, lots of people might have told you to take a stool test, but guess what? That's actually not going to answer the problems that's not going to give us the answers we need for the problems that you're currently having. So here's why it works. Here's how to do it. And then on day 2, while they're waiting, you can send them to a helpful video that starts to talk about the various problems that they might discover, and like whether it's going to be methane heavy or hydrogen heavy, right? Like you could talk about the 2 different ways this might go down, right? And you can talk to them and assure them that, like, hey, no matter what we find, I assure you there's going to be a solution that we can cross this bridge together. Okay. If you give them that directional video, a different, like an explanation of the couple of different ways this could go and this might find, and then even a few steps that they can be taking now that certainly won't hurt them while they're waiting for the results, that's 3 videos, okay? That's like the time of you having to nurture someone for what, 3, 6, 9 months before they feel comfortable with you. You have them in a situation where they feel a little bit nervous or they wouldn't take the test. The people who come to their clients and provide information, caring, clarity that there is a path forward regardless of what you find, you are shortening that know, like, and trust factor path that most practitioners have to take 3, 6, 9 months to build. You're going to shorten that down to have all of that happen in this tiny little 48-hour window while they wait for the results. How cool is that?
It's also super important to talk about what a big pain point this is for patients, because the problem with SIBO and the problem with an IBS-like presentation is conventional medicine doesn't really have very much to offer. Like the SIBO testing, the Quintron machine actually comes out of the conventional system, but these patients are not very interesting to a gastroenterologist, right? They don't have an organic disease. There's no chronic inflammation. What they have is a lot of discomfort and nothing to hang your hat on. So if you walk into a gastro office, they're not going to test you. They're going to say, oh, you should just take 2 weeks of rifaximin and you should be cured. Unfortunately, you don't know if you should only take rifaximin because you don't know if you're just hydrogen positive, which rifaximin works really well for, or hydrogen and methane positive, which it does not work well for. You're not even sure if this is the core problem. And patients they're so frustrated with the conventional system because they're getting pushed around and nobody's discovering the problem. This is an exceptionally easy test. Like I ran this test with my 10-year-old. You know, this is a very easy test to run. Collection is super easy. The prep diet is annoying, but outside of that, you're not digging through poop. You're not digging through pee. You're just breathing normally into a tube. And from that, you have information. You have a map of how it is you can help patients get past this discomfort, which is plaguing, I don't know, God knows, a quarter of the population. It's a huge pain point, and it's not difficult, but it's not interesting to anybody in the conventional system. And that's where, that's where the testing is so valuable.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously we're talking about the SIBO test too. Okay. I want to veer off and also talk about the lactose sensitivity test. And I want to preface this with like, why am I asking her about these 2 different tests? Okay. The reason I want her to talk to us a little bit about the SIBO test and also the lactose intolerance test is because if we only determined whether or not those things were going on, the statistics show that could be up to around 90, 95 even, depending on who you listen to, % of the people who are struggling with their digestive issues. In other words, we might be stepping over the really smart first line of defense to just weed out, is this something as simple as lactose intolerance that was never diagnosed? Is this something as SIBO that other people don't care about and they don't want to step up to the plate? Because truth be told, even if they did get the results, accurate results for SIBO, most of the GI docs out there in the conventional world don't really know what to do with that anyway, right? They're just going to go with that first line of defense. Everybody take rifaximin, and everybody who it doesn't work for, you just go home and like, don't come back to my office. I don't really want to deal with you.
Meditate, reduce stress, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all of those things. And those are crazy making, you guys. It's crazy making to make the appointment, which most people now, if they're going through their insurance, are waiting, what, 3, 6 months to even get that stupid appointment. And then they get there and they take the test. And if they're lucky, they do a breast test, which most of them don't, right? And then they don't see anything that's their typical red flags that they're used to dealing with. And so they send them home, pat them on the head. You should stop stressing less, maybe cut it back on the wine and don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's condescending and it's super annoying, right? So the more that the clients and the patients out there are experiencing that high level of frustration and annoyance, the easier it is for us to swoop in and stop the scroll with conversations like, hey, do you feel dismissed by your GA doc? Lean in. Let's talk about a test that could reveal something that they're not talking to you about. That is easy for you guys to get your foot in the door with those people because they're pissed off. They're frustrated. Nobody's helping them. Okay. So if we combine SIBO, and then we'll talk about this test next, if we also just look at lactose intolerance, what if that weeded out the need to do any of the long-term elimination diets, the messy stool tests, the GI maps, all of those? Like, what if it weeded it out because we actually started with the first line of the higher probability of what's likely going on? Okay. So when I saw the percentages on those, Ilana, that's when I was like, wait, how come we're not talking about this? If that's such a vast percentage of the population that is experiencing one of those two things, why are we not starting there?
Lactose sensitivity is one of those things that patients don't want to give up. They don't want to give up their dairy and their lactose because, let's be honest, it's delicious. And they also often don't make the connection. And I actually, as long as I've been at this, it is insane how if you tell them just to do a trial run of cutting out lactose, they are explicitly not interested in that. But if you show them a result that says clearly you are not digesting this sugar, lactose, this sugar, they are really, really bought in. And I mean, I think you're completely right when you're like, this is the lowest of all low-hanging fruit. Like, just saying, cut out dairy, that can fix a portion of the population's problems. It's so simple, and people want an objective test to tell them to do it because it's really hard if you're not 100% sure that lactose is causing an issue. And so I just think it just really helps people feel better. Like, it just so drastically improves symptom pictures. And it's not a difficult test to do. Like, that's the amazing thing about AllClear is this: you do the test at home, that you mail the kit, they mail the kit to you, you mail the kit back. It's kind of as seamless as it can be. You don't have to go to a lab. You know, you just literally have to follow the directions and collect your breath. And with that very, simple step, you actually can get real solid answers about why you haven't been feeling good. And then you can start the process of feeling good.
Yeah. You guys, I think that this is amazing. I know that I only have Ilana here until 12:30. She was kind enough to join us. You guys, we threw this on her like very last minute. Literally, like Bill and I were texting this morning and he said, oh, she can do it, but she can only be there for half an hour. So I would like to open this up to let you know, since we only have 3 minutes left, I just want to assure you that if you have questions about this test, you guys DM me all of the questions. Just DM me anything you want to know, access to the test, when you would choose to go with SIBO first over the lactulose test. Let's do that one now. And then just really quickly, I want you guys to know, DM me your questions. Anything we don't get to today, I'm going to compile all of them. I'm going to get them to Bill and Dr. Ilana, and then we're going to get you answers. I'll have her back on, and we will make sure you feel fully empowered to use this test, okay? But yeah, so first line of defense, which one would you offer in which case?
Okay, so you're dealing with a patient. So when I'm taking a history, when I'm taking a new patient comes in and I'm trying to track the history, I'm trying to figure out where their problem is. If their problem is bloating, if that's their main problem, you should immediately start at SIBO. Do not pass go, do not collect $2,000, just start at SIBO. The reason I say that is because if you have gas in the stomach, you belch. If you have gas in the large intestine, you fart. But you have a valve that separates your stomach from your small intestine and a valve that separates your small intestine from your large intestine. So all of that gas gets trapped. When that gas gets trapped, you bloat. So bloating is the number one pain point for a lot of patients. We have a lot of awareness about bloating right now. If they have bloating, you want to think about doing a SIBO test. If they have abdominal cramping that follows food and abdominal cramping that happens somewhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours from eating, that may or may not lead to diarrhea, but always has cramping, you want to think of a lactulose breath test, especially if you can get them, if you can ask into what they're eating and see if they can find the pattern, then you want to start with lactose, right? If they're not having any of that tight cramping, or they're not having any bloating, or, reflux and belching and GERD can also actually be a small bowel issue because the bowel gets frozen because it's distended from all that gas. And then you can't get stuff out of the esophagus and the stomach, and then it starts refluxing. So that's the other place when I think about running SIBO tests. If it's just diarrhea and nothing else, I don't know if a SIBO test is where you're going. You're looking bloating, reflux, and abdominal pain. Those are your triad for running these breath tests. That's where you're going to get all of your most valuable information.
Excellent. Okay, so I see the clear differentiation between the two. Again, if we're at 12:30, I want to be super respectful of your time. But I'm going to, and you can drop off whenever you need to, honey. I don't want to hold you up, but I just want to assure. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for being with us. You guys, if you have other questions, just DM them to me directly, and let's get your questions out there, because just think about that price point as a conversion mechanism for you. If we can say to somebody, hey, let's get them in there, maybe we if this is charged to us, maybe 180, 190 in that price range. If that means we could have like a 250 entry level priced offer. 250, and that gives us $50, $60, $70 for the education and resource fee that you can charge in your lab test funnel. That solves tons of problems, you guys. It makes access to answers very affordable for a much wider audience of people. And Lord knows everybody needs that right now. Okay. So it solves that problem for your audience. It earns you that $50 to $70 education and resource fee, so you actually get paid to do your marketing. That ought to add a little bit of motivation, because I know marketing is not you guys' favorite aspect of your business, okay? And then it shortcuts the development of your know, like, and trust factor with those people. The fourth indivisible or invisible sort of thing that it does is it actually teaches the algorithm. So if you have that conversation and then people connect and they link to your registration, their lab page where they're going to buy it, to your lab test sales page, we'll call it. We don't take them straight to the lab. We take them to your sales page. Okay. Why? Because we want them to go from the online world, just the general internet or social media platforms, into your online ecosystem. So your landing pages, your order forms, your checkouts, where you collect their name and email and phone number and their credit card. When the algorithms see them jumping from this online world platform over to your platform where they take money, they give their email, their name. When the algorithms see you having people make that jump through a paid interaction rather than just a free interaction, then the algorithm is learning, like, oh, this person wants buyers. This person wants buyers to jump our ship and go over to their online ecosystem, okay? If you're always only ever offering them to go from that online ecosphere or social platform to your world in a way that's free webinar, free handout, free consult, free guide, free topia, right? Like, oh my God, what's going to happen is two things that are not good for the longevity of your business and your sanity, okay? This is why I get DMs from practitioners who tell me they have 10K plus followers and their bank account is screaming for income, okay? They've become popular but not profitable. Okay, they have inadvertently taught the algorithms that, oh, they're just looking for people who want information and freebie seekers and that kind of thing. And they probably have an email list of people who want free stuff and expect them to provide free stuff. But those people are not being empowered to be responsible for their health, right? If we're going to get people results, we have to follow the 200% responsibility rule. You are 100% responsible for giving them a pathway to walk. They are 100% responsible for walking that pathway, right? We're never going to get people results who don't hold up their side of the line. Okay, so it also will help you to move people into your world that are actually invested in their health as indicated by their willingness to pay, what, $250 and get the answers that they need to, oh my God, I have painful bloating. I literally feel like there's a monster, like that alien monster in my stomach. I can't sleep at night because it hurts so bad. Like if you can talk about any of their pain points and then say, hey, this might be what's going on. And this is why all the stool tests that you've tried haven't given you the answers that you need. Let's go. Let me give you access to this test. All the things we've talked about. They feel like you gave them VIP access to something nobody else that gave them access to. They feel like you're the expert who helped them know that that was the right way for them to get the data that they need to drive smart decisions about their health. And then the data that they gather is highly likely to point them to what? Point them to working with you because you were the person who gave them access. You were the person who provided information in that 48-hour short window while they waited for results. And your marketing pathway, no longer a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, 1-year nurture sequence where they're consuming all this free content from you before they know, like, and trust you. You can get that done in that 48, let's call it 72-hour window between the time they order, because it might take them a day. You know, the test might take a day to get there or whatever. So let's call it 2, 3, 4, 5 days max, right? How about we shorten that pathway in which a new person feels comfortable that they know, like, and trust us enough to invest this in working it? Let's shorten that pathway drastically and thereby shortening your marketing cycle and getting your buyer cycle moving faster. Wins all around, wins for everybody. Okay. I realized that there was a little technical glitch at the beginning with bringing Dr. Ilana on. So again, if you have questions about that test, where can you get it? Roughly how much does it cost from different wholesalers? You can also set up an account with them and buy direct. Like however you want to do this, I want to empower you to do this. Okay. I'm not your competition. I don't sell this labs. I'm a geek. I love finding ways that you guys can put really entry-level priced offers in front of your audience so that they say yes. They take your information and actually do a tiny bit of investment and implementation, because those are the clients that I want you to have, right? I honestly don't care if you have 1 million followers of people who are just going to bleed you dry for information and never invest in your health. That's not what I want for you. Okay. So I find this stuff information, I put it in front of you. I want to empower you to get any and all questions answered, because information without implementation is not going to put any more income in your bank account. And ultimately, that's what me and the team here at Heliscale want for you. Okay. If you have questions for me, DM them to me. If you have questions for AllClear, DM them to me. I will make sure that you get answers for them. They're going to be featured on our Labs to Lead Summit because I want to show some case studies of people working through and creating profit specifically from that test. And so they've agreed to come on the Labs to Lead Summit. That's going to happen in January. Obviously, I'll tell you about it way closer to, so you don't even have to think about that. Keep in mind, it is Q4 of 2025. Okay. So if you do not already have an actionable plan to make sure that you hit the kind of abundant numbers that you want to hit in 2026 in your business, please go to Heal at Scale and click the book a game plan session. Like, you will meet with literally the health business strategist that took Dr. Amy Myers, JJ Virgin, so many others in the celebrity health space, from clinic burnout into multi-million-dollar practices. And he's going to not sugarcoat exactly what you need to move forward. So if you need help, let's put that help in place now, rather than you being scrambling to find it in it come January when everyone's trying to get their ducks in a row. Let's get your ducks in a row now, and let's make 2026 your best year ever. All right. Take care, everyone. Big love to you all.